A very warm welcome to all my dear friends. I'm Prashant Mauni. I hope you all are doing good. Today we are going to chat about Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill 2017. Now, how we are going to take it, we are going to start with its meaning, and then we will see why we need this sort of particular law. We'll also discuss its impact, and we'll also analyze what are the present laws doing, or whether they are capable or not, or do we really require this Fugitive Economic Bill. Apart from that, dear friends, let me tell you that this particular item or this particular topic is important for your mains examination, because you will find questions regarding non-performing assets and how we can sort it out, or the steps taken by the government to sort out non-performing asset and the bad health of our bank. So this topic is very important for your mains examination. I have also tried to include a couple of things in it. Hopefully 5-6 items are there that will help you in your prelims examination as well. With this, dear friends, please allow me to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses. Now, Study IQ provides different pen drive and tablet courses for SSC, bank, UPSC and other government exams, and the good thing about them is that they are prepared by top faculties of our country, so the quality that you are going to get is going to be top of the range. If you have any further question or query, what you have to do is check out our studyiq.com website. If you are preparing for UPSC, then UPSC test series is available as well, and even if you have further doubts, you have chat support on our website, or you can feel free to give us a call on this number. So let's crack on. Let's understand what this fugitive bill is all about. Fugitive Economic Offender 2017 bill is all about. Now let's start with the meaning. Basically, you know, fugitive is a person who is trying to escape, who is running away. Basically, you can call him a runner, right? He's hiding because it is quite natural to understand that he has done something wrong. He or she, a person, has done something wrong. They have outlawed, they have broken some sort of laws, and this is the thing there. This is the reason why they are running away. So this Fugitive Economic Offender bill is, if you go by the definition, then it is a sort of it defines this person as a economic offender is a person who against whom there is an arrest warrant has been issued, and this person has, of course, this is issued because they have broken some sort of law, and the main thing here is that he or she has either already left India or they are trying to leave India. And of course, why they are leaving India? Not for tourism. Of course, they are leaving because they want to avoid criminal prosecution, or even if they have left India, then they are refusing to come back to India and face the criminal prosecution. So this is the definition of Fugitive Economic Offender. Now, as you can see on your screen, Vijay Mallya is there. And why he is there? Because the great Vijay Mallya, he took 9,000 crore rupees from various banks, and now he is not willing to return the money. He was Rajya Sabha member, so at that point of time he was having some sort of diplomatic passport, and he utilized that thing, and now he is living in UK. I'm sure you might have heard about this thing. It was a quite famous incident that he went to watch a cricket match, and he was termed as a chore, as a thief by the people who, by the audience. Many of Indian people were not happy about Vijay Mallya, what he did with the Indian banks. So this is the thing, and we know it very well that huge waste of time and energy is being conducted because of him. Now, why we need this particular, or what is the main aim of this, objective of this bill? To tighten the noose. Basically, if you don't know what noose is, then you know, when people are awarded with death penalty, at that point of time there is a rope around their neck on which through which they would be hanged. So that is noose. So it is about tightening the noose. That means it is to ensure that these people do not run away, and it is to ensure that they are taken to they have to pass through the judicial system, or they have to follow the law. Now, why we need it? First of all, the most important and very basic thing to understand here is that you can understand if someone, say for example Vijay Mallya, when he left India and now at present he is in UK. So if we want him back in India, then we have to follow the laws of United Kingdom. Now what happens is, these people, they are very smart. They have all the lawyers, access to all these loopholes and things like that. So what they will do is they will claim over there that the process through which I will go in India is going to be unfair with me. The court will not treat me fairly. The government is against me, things like that. So I will not be allowed to have, or I will not be given an opportunity to have a sort of justice, and it will become very difficult for the UK's court as well to prove that what he is saying. Even the judges know that he is uttering lie, but it will take time. So basically it is a waste of time of not only the courts in England but over here as well. And Supreme Court has clearly stated, because when he ran away, it was the Supreme Court who ordered the government, and of course government is also serious about it, and Supreme Court clearly stated that whatever it takes, bring him back over here. And another thing is, it's not only about waste of time of court, but it is also a waste of time of the nation, because of Vijay Mallya. And it is not only Vijay Mallya, but he is the most famous absconder so far. There are other people as well, and they have done the same thing. Somewhere around 50 people are hiding in UK, and there would be many other people as well in different parts of the world. So because of these people, huge amount of debate and discussion that should be conducted on important topics that are affecting our country are wasted behind these people. And when I say wasted, it is because, you know, the political people, the opposition will try to win some brownie points, and they will try to corner the government, and they will distract things. And so in this sense, it is not only opposition is doing its duty. There is nothing wrong with it, but this sort of people are a waste of time for everyone. The other thing is that it hampers the investigation in criminal cases. He is engaged in money laundering, but when he runs away from the country, it becomes very difficult. The other thing is, it is utter, you can say that, disrespect of rule of law. And what happens is, when these people, when these famous celebrities and these people, when they break this sort of law, then the small traders, or the people who are borrowing 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, they will say that, okay, if Vijay Mallya has taken 9,000 crore rupees, nothing is happening to him, then what will happen to me as well? And this is something which is polluting the credit culture of our country. Even during the loan waiver time, the RBI governor clearly stated that if you give away every time, if the government is giving away loan waiver, then this is going to pollute the culture of credit culture of the country, because the farmers will think that take the loan, don't pay it back, when the election time will come, we are going to get a sort of waiver anyways. So this is detrimental for the whole economy. And of course, when we talk about economy, then non-repayment of bank loans are of course a big burden on the banks who have given this loan. And this is impacting the whole economy. We will discuss about this because I am going to discuss about this particular topic here of how it impacts the economy of our country. And when we talk about the law, then at present we have some existing civil and criminal provisions, but they are not capable enough to deal with this sort of specific cases. Of course, there should be a question in your mind: how? Prove it, why they are not. Of course, we will talk about that thing as well. Now let's start with the laws, and then we will move towards economy side. So existing laws and their limitations. Now these items, before I describe these things to you, let me tell you that this is going to be helpful for your prelims examination. Whilst mains answer writing as well, it is definitely useful, but in prelims you might have observed that this sort of questions are being asked as well. So please pay attention to here. Anyways, you would be able to download this file, so go through it. So right, let's start with the civil. Now, I'm sure many of you would be knowing, most of you would be knowing what is the difference between civil and criminal law. So things like property, marriage, and divorce, and all these things are pertaining to civil laws, and murder, fight, rape, and this sort of things are coming under the domain of criminal law. Right, so the first one, the existing law, when we talk about, we have RBI Master Circular on Willful Defaulters 2015. Now, it defines willful defaulter. It is basically identifying who is willful defaulter. Willful defaulter, you can understand, the person who is willfully not paying the money back to the bank, right? And what it can do is, it can debar this person from having any sort of access from institutional finance. So he can of course borrow from his friend as much as his friend is capable of in lending this type of people, but from officials, say for example, if he knocks the door of SBI, then he won't be allowed to do that for 5 years. Then you have another item, and this is important as well. It's known as SARFAESI, right? SARFAESI. The full form is Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act 2002. What it does, the good thing about this particular SARFAESI is that without involving the court, it can recover the secured assets. So this is the thing, right? This is a good thing, that you don't have to knock the doors of the court, and then court will order you, it will hear everything, and it will take ages. As we know that this is not the only case with which courts are dealing. There are huge amount of cases pending in the courts as well. So it takes ages. So this law will help the banks who have lended money to this sort of people who are willful defaulters, and apart from that, they are entitled to take possession of, they can take over the management as well. Now, why it is important to take over the management? Imagine Vijay Mallya's case, right? If his company is being, say for example, not taken over, and if the banks are telling the people who are running the show at present, then you know it very well that he would be the right hand, or he would be the deputy or assistant of Vijay Mallya, who would be running the show or his business here in India, isn't it? You'd be with him in contact via WhatsApp and Skype and all these things. So he knows what is going on, and he would be directing, the main boss would be directing what to do and what not to do. And because of this, the banks are not going to get anything out of it. So what this law does is you can take over the management, so you can place your own people, and then you can try to bring the business back into a sort of flourishing stage, or you can dissolve it, or you can find out whatever you like you can do with this thing, right? I hope this is clear. Now the third item is Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Financial Institutions Act 1993. It is RDDBFI Act, and the good thing about this thing is that the unsecured and secured debt can be recovered. And the fourth item is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. This is the one which is a very famous one, because this one just came out in 2016. And the good thing about this one is that insolvency resolution process, which involves a restructuring of debts through formulation of a repayment plan. So you can sort the things out. You can say that, say for example, if I have given you 100 rupees, then if you are not able to pay me back, then I will say, like, how about we will work out. There are calculations and there are professionals, but I'm just trying to help you understand this thing. So they will come to a conclusion that just pay 70 rupees, right? And I'll give you another time. I'll say you, like, in next 20 days you have to pay me 70 rupees or 50 rupees, say for example. Now, even if after a couple of days, if you are not able to, or if you are not paying me anything at all, then what I can do is I can take over your company, and then I can liquidate it as well. I can try to boost it, or I can liquidate it. Basically, I will liquidate it. That means I will sell your company and I will make whatever I can. So if, for example, if I have if the banks get in their hand, if they have bicycle of Vijay Mallya, if Vijay Mallya has taken 100 rupees from the bank, and now banks will take over Vijay Mallya's bicycle, they will put it on rent, and after a couple of days, if they find that no one is ready to ride his bicycle, and they have to spend after cleaning and maintenance and other things, so they would think that it is not producing any results, so let's get rid of this bicycle. So they can do this with the companies as well. Now the problem with this 4 items is that the civil provisions deal with this sort of issues of non-repayment of debt, but when it comes to specific provisions, when we talk about specific provisions, and particularly when we are talking about high value offenders like Vijay Mallya and other people, then it is not that much strong in dealing with this sort of people. And the other thing is that those who have left the country, these laws are not capable of bringing them back over here. So this is a limitation, and that is one of the reasons why we need a new sort of law altogether. When we talk about criminal offenses, and as per CRPC, that is Criminal Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, now under CRPC as well, you have some clauses, and of course for you guys, you don't have to remember the clauses, but CRPC 1973 is fine. We don't have to go into that many details, remembering numbers and things like that. Here we are trying to develop our understanding, and remember, understanding is the key, right? If you understand something, then that will stay with you forever, for the longest period of time. So a criminal court can publish a proclamation. Now what happens with this proclamation? Once this proclamation is issued, then the property of that person can be attached, right? It can be taken over, or the possession of that property can be taken over by the government. Now the main drawback over here when it comes to this sort of people who are we are dealing with giants, isn't it? So their cases, you find they have property in Maharashtra, in Kashmir, in Assam, in different parts of our country. So the cases, now when we talk about technicality, the jurisdictions are limited of every court, so they won't be able to deal with all the cases at one single place. And what will happen is that this person would be shuttling from here and there, running back and forth, and he would be wasting time of the court, as well as he would be wasting time of the government. Multiple adjournments about which their expensive lawyers are quite they have expertise in this thing, so it will take ages to reach to a conclusion. And we know it, and it is not something, it is applicable throughout the world, that until you are not proven guilty, you are innocent. So they will take benefit of this thing, and they will run their business as usual. But again, you cannot, if someone has left the country, then it is very difficult to bring them back over here. And same thing applies to the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Like under this 2002 Act, the confiscation of property can be done if the money is or the money involved, or the property that is derived from black money. And here one more thing that I would like to highlight for your prelims examination is that Enforcement Directorate, right? Keep this in mind. It is a sort of it is something equivalent. When you find this sort of money laundering cases, then it is working as like CBI. I'm sure you know many things about CBI, because it is one of the most fascinating, isn't it? Everyone has a sort of bit of attraction towards CBI, because it has its own you can say when it comes with a doom, isn't it? So there is a aura of CBI, or I must say charisma of CBI. So in the same way, Enforcement Directorate, the people who are dealing with this sort of money laundering, they know it very well, what Enforcement Directorate is and what it can do. It is also known as ED. So of course ED can sort them out, but the thing is, ED also has to go through some process. There are checks and balances. It is not that ED can catch anyone. They cannot work on their whims and fancies. They have to follow the law, and of course they have to go through the court, and this will take again be a waste of time. So it is basically, we can see that there is nothing at present what we have on our plate. It is not sufficient to deal with people like Vijay Mallya, who are basically out of our country, who have left India because they have borrowed huge amount of money, and now they are not ready to pay it back. Now, as I told you that there is another important item about which we are going to chat today, and that is the bank, or you can say economy, right? But we will start with the bank. Now, what is the basic function of a bank? What you can do is, regarding bank, you can take it, let's take example of yourself, right? Imagine that you have borrowed 100 rupees from your parent, from your father, and now you have your terms and condition that you will pay back 105 rupees by the end of this month. Now this 100 rupees, you are going to lend it to your friend or someone whom you know, and you have decided the terms and condition here with the person to whom you are lending the money. He is going to pay you back 115 rupees. So you have to pay back 105, you get 115, so you are going to make 10 rupees. This is your profit. That's what banks do. They get money as a deposit from us, right? And they lend money to us as well, or they lend money to someone else, right? That's how, and whatever the difference is, that's their profit. As simple as that. So banks are necessary as well, because it's if you are running a business, or if you want to start a business, or as a working capital, or for new project or something, you would require money, right? Just like any other product, like raw material or your machinery, capital as well is a sort of thing that is required. So you knock the doors of bank. When you have loans from these formal sources, though, naturally the rates are going to be competitive, right? And you will get all these terms and conditions and everything. So everything would be legal, and you would be expected to pay back money as principal, and as you have to pay back the interest as well. So that's how banks work, and whatever the profit is, they are going to use it for all the expenses, like setting up new branches, ATMs, paying to the staff, your checkbook, your debit and credit card, and online facilities, everything, whatever facilities you can see, and the facilities that we can see as well. All these expenses are fulfilled, or you can say are being dealt by the difference of what bank gives to its depositors, and how much it charges to the people who have borrowed from it. So non-performing asset. Now, when you don't pay back the money, and let's first of all understand the definition of non-performing asset. Now, again, taking the same example, 100 rupees, right? You took it from your father, and you have told him that you will pay back to him in 30 days, isn't it? Now your friend, he has gone somewhere, or either he is not capable of paying you back that money, and if you don't hear from him, or if you don't get anything, right, either you are not getting the 100 rupees that you have given to him, or you are not getting this interest, that is the 15 rupees that you have decided. So if you are not getting anything out of it for 90 days, remember here 90 days, if you are not getting principal or interest for 90 days, then this thing is known as non-performing asset. Now, all those listeners who are from commerce background, you know it very well what asset and liability is. But for those people who are not from this commerce background, let me tell you quickly, very quickly, that when your father gave you the money, that 100 rupees, for him that money was his asset, because that 100 rupees was going to earn, is going to produce something for him, isn't it? That 5 rupees interest. In the same sense, when you gave that money to your friend, at that point of time, that money became, of course, your asset, right? Because you are risking everything, and then you are lending that money to your friend. But for your friend, that is a liability. That means he is not going to make anything out of it, but he has to pay some interest, and so he has to pay back to you in the same way you have to pay back to your father, right? So this is the difference between asset and liability. So asset, when you don't get any interest or principal on it, so it is not performing, isn't it? Just like your motorcycle, if it is not working, then you would say that it is not performing very well. So in the same sense, this asset is not performing. That's why you hear this term non-performing asset, right? So there are other differences, or you can say there is a sort of description as well. Let's quickly go through it. There is a sort of a substandard asset. Now, assets which have remained NPA, right, non-performing asset, for a period of less than or equal to 12 months, right? So somewhere between 90 days and or you can say 3 months and 12 months or non-performing. Once it is declared non-performing, then you calculate from the 91st day from that time to 12 months. So this is called substandard assets. Then you have doubtful assets. That means that all these NPAs, all those substandard assets that are not producing anything beyond 12 months. So you call it a sort of doubtful asset. And loss asset is basically you have to forget about it, right? Your friend has run away to, say for example, Vancouver. He's not going to come back ever, or even if he comes back, he's not going to say you hello. So that money is gone. So you can call it as a sort of loss asset. Now you have to find some other way to pay back to your father. So this is the thing. This are basically what this non-performing assets is all about. And if you go through the Standard and Poor's, now this is a very famous rating agencies, and the main job of rating agencies is to they, of course, as you can see from the name, they give you rates. They give you what is the ranking of this country, and what is the financial situation, how the banks are performing, how the economy is performing, this sort of things. This companies are expertise. They do analysis all the time regarding different countries and different things. And Standard and Poor S&P is quite a reputed one, and what it is saying, as per its report, it is saying that 14% of total advances. Many a times you find this sort of words like advances. Advances basically means loan, right? So say, for example, if the banks have given away 100 rupees in loan throughout India, then nearly 14 rupees, right, is non-performing asset or stressed asset. And you have 2/3 of overall stressed assets in the banking system have already been recognized by the banks as non-performing assets as on March 31st, 2017. This is the one of the latest data about which we are talking, right? And here as well you have two different things regarding stressed assets. And the reason why I'm explaining this thing is that it is not only going to help you with this fugitive bill, but it will help you with the other areas of economy as well. And everything is working. It is a sort of interdisciplinary approach, right? Nothing is working in silos. This thing has its connection with the bank and economy and other things. So it is very important. These topics are important. So reported gross non-performing assets, stress assets includes all those gross non-performing assets, as well as standard assets that are under pressure currently and could deteriorate and could become a sort of non-performing assets. Currently under pressure basically means that they are if you are supposed to pay 5 rupees as your interest, then you are able to pay 1 rupees, 2 rupees. So this sort of situation basically is called stressed assets. And as you can see from this chart, and let me remind you that this particular thing, this chart is of course by RBI, so authentication regarding its quality and authenticity, there could be no doubt, but the figures are in billion, right? So keep this in mind, rupees billion. So here if you see the loans and non-performing assets of public sector unit banks, that is the government banks, SBI and Bank of Baroda and other banks, then you can see that out of 50,822 billion rupees that they have as a sort of as a loan, nearly 10% they have lost, isn't it? Or you can say that it is non-performing asset. And from this chart you can see that it is growing up and up, isn't it? 2013, 14, 15 and 16 we have clocked 50,000, and 2017 it is again higher than what it is on your screen. So this is a matter of worry for everyone, and particularly when we talk about the overall economy, the negative impact of non-performing assets. See, the thing is the time when this sort of loans were given quite freely. When I say freely, I don't mean to say that no interest was charged on it, but when I say freely, what I'm saying is that the processes, or it was a sort of easy money that you can get from the bank. And at that point of time the economy was doing good, everyone was quite excited, and it works on the mood as well, you know. When people are feeling that the economy is doing good and it's going to be fine, etc., and if that is the wave that is going on in the economy, then the businessman will think like, if I get a loan from a bank at this rate, then I will borrow this money, I will invest it here, I will set up a new factory, etc., etc. So that's what mood is all about. So between 2000, you can say 2000 and 2006-7, at that point of time the country was in a good mood, and economy was doing very well as well. We were clocking somewhere around 9 to 10% GDP growth rate, somewhere around 8.5 and 9.5 or something like that. But in 2007, end of 2007 and 2008, starting of 2008, since then the whole world went to a recession. Of course, we were not affected that much, but I know it very well in America, in England and other European countries. The condition was really, really bad. And due to this recession, the people of these Western countries who generally were outsourcing all this, the companies were outsourcing things over here in India, call centers, and they were purchasing. Basically, these developed countries are the customers of countries like India and China, so they buy things from us. But when their economy is not doing well, when they are losing their jobs, so of course they will save money, isn't it? They will try to save every penny or every rupee they have in their pocket. So they stopped ordering items. The sudden wants was not required anymore. It was all about the needs like food and job and rent and all those things. So this impacted us as well, and many businesses that were dealing with foreign companies, many businesses, the economy was doing well. So as I told you, if the good mood is good, if you know that you are going to make money out of your business, then you will purchase a house on loan and things like that, hoping that you would be able to sort out everything. But when things suddenly things that are not in your control, if something goes wrong, then you can do nothing about it. In the same way, it is not that all the businesses are trying to be defaulter, but it was something external, and there are many willful defaulters as well. There are some genuine businesses that went down because of mistakes of the past, and this is going to impact the future as well. When NPAs are say for example, when the bank write-offs a loan, when a time comes when it has to forget that loan forever, at that point of time you can clearly say that it's capital, right? That 100 rupees with which you started your business, if you have to forget 30 rupees out of it, then you know that now you have only 70 rupees in your hand. So this is a loss of capital. And the other thing is that if I have invested in your bank, if you are a bank and if your NPAs, non-performing assets, are quite high, then I can clearly say that you are not able to do your business very well. You're not able to sort out things, and if you are losing money, then you are not going to make enough profit as well. So there is no point of me investing in your stock or your bank. So you will stop getting money from stock market as well. So this will impact you. And as I told you that as I already told you, that the role of bank, the people go to the bank to borrow money, isn't it? And when this sort of bigger absconder, when this sort of giant people, when they take huge amount of money, at that point of time, the poor people or the small businessmen, they have to pay a higher rate of interest because capital of the bank is gone, and now it has to do something to ensure that it stays in the business. There are some standards as well when it comes to capital. They have to maintain some standards of their capital, and it impacts their bank's interest income as well, because now they have made loss, but they are not making any profit as well. So it is going to be very difficult for them to survive, and they won't be able to provide any sort of fresh credit, which will impact business. As you can see at this point of time, the government is investing in the economy, but the private companies and the private investors are not. They are not ready to take the risk, and the banks are also not reducing the interest rate. And in fact, RBI has reduced the policy rate, but the banks are not able to do it because they have to make up. They have to find some source, isn't it? That gap, which is their profit area. They have to maintain that. Even if RBI is reducing the policy rate, they will not pass this benefit to the customer, and in this way the whole economy gets affected, because if money is not available at cheaper rates, then you are not going to be motivated to invest it in the market, isn't it? So this is the thing, and the government as well loses huge amount of money because the government has stake in it. It is a government-run banks. So end of the day, government will have to provide some money out of its pocket, the money that can be utilized for other purposes. And there are some areas in which if you invest, then you get more returns, right? The benefits would be more than what you pay to the bank, but then as well they have to, because they have to ensure that the banks are running. So this is sort of briefly, but in detail, we can say that some of the important points regarding the negative impact of NPS. So from this thing, we can clearly say that we need this law, because at one side we the existing laws are not capable enough, and the other side we know the detrimental effect of this NPS on our economy. Now, how it is going to work, how this whole fugitive economic offender bill will work, or how this whole thing will work, then basically there is a sort of there will be a provision, or there is in fact a provision of a special court, and it will work under Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And all the fugitives, particularly the people, only the people who are any business or any person who has taken away 100 crore or more than that, only those cases will be dealt by this court under this fugitive economic offender, because it wants to ensure that this huge amount of money should come back to the bank as soon as possible. So the whole trial should be speedy. If you entertain people who have taken 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 50 lakh rupees, then it is going to take ages. So bigger cases, bigger fishes are going to be dealt here. The other thing is that, and this is important for your prelims again, that Financial Intelligence Unit, it works under Finance Ministry. Keep this in mind, right? This is important. So that it is a sort of premium technical snooping, and it will file an application for the declaration of fugitive. So this is the team that is going to, or this is the department that is going to run after this fugitive economic offenders. How it will be done? Step 1, any property that is proceed of crime that the person is accused of, as well as any property owned by such person in India, right? All the properties that is owned by this sort of people in India will be confiscated. Now, say for example, Dawood Ibrahim, we know that many times we hear that his properties are confiscated here. So in the same way, any property that belongs to Vijay Mallya in India will be taken over by the government. This is the thing. The second step is that at the discretion of any court, such persons or any company where he is a promoter or key managerial personnel or majority stakeholder may be disentitled from bringing forward any defending defending any civil claim. So when his property will be taken, he cannot go to the court and say that it is against his or the things. He cannot claim sort of a civil claim. He cannot file a civil claim under this Fugitive Economic Offender Act. The other important thing is that, and that's how policies are or the laws are made. Say for example, it is pertaining to Finance Ministry. So Finance Ministry has gone through it. It has given its green signal. Now Finance Ministry will pass this bill to Law Ministry. Law Ministry is expert in all these legal items, so it will go through it and it will ensure that everything is up to the line and everything is as per the requirement. So the Law Ministry has given its green signal. It has asked to add a saving clause. Saving clause means a provision in a contract, statute, or other legal document containing an exemption from one or more of its conditions or obligations. Basically, it is a technical thing, and there are some provisions that will provide some sort of exemptions, but it does not mean that that exemptions will allow this person to run away. Not at all. And the main thing about this is in near future we are going to have a winter session of Parliament of 2017, and this bill will be tabled. Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill 2017 will be tabled in the Lok Sabha, and hopefully when it will be passed, the whole process of this sort of economic offenders will come into motion. And of course I must add that all the necessary constitutional safeguards, like providing this offender, providing him legal services, and he can appeal in the High Court and all that things, are available under this bill. One thing is there, and it is important to understand that if the person who is running away, if he surrenders, if he say for example tomorrow Vijay Mallya comes and if he surrenders to the Supreme Court, then this thing will not be applicable on him. So this is a small thing over here that we should keep in mind, because you can clearly see here that this act would cease by law, right? If the fugitive economic offender returns to India and submits to the appropriate jurisdictional court, proceedings under this act would cease by law. With this, dear friends, I end this discussion. I'm sure you have learned many things about this particular topic. Don't forget to get your this particular lecture from our Telegram channel or from our website. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and pass your valuable comment. Again, I would like to remind, if you don't have the pen drive and tablet courses, do get it as soon as possible. With this, I end this discussion. I'll see you all soon. This is Prashant Mani signing off. Jai Hind.